Good evening, everyone. This is Nithya Ramachandra from the Anna Hour Sports Show. This is episode 989. I'm joined by a really special guest. His name is Nick Green. He's a former Yankees pitching prospect. He signed with the Cincinnati Reds this offseason, and he's currently in spring training, working hard, getting ready for the season. But we are live on iHeartRadio, Spreaker, Spotify. Please tune in, fans. Tune in, and you can ask questions on our Spreaker app. So fans, please tune in. This would be a good one. And Nick Green, I just want to say thank you for joining the show. How are you and your family doing today?
Happy to be on here. Doing great. Everything's going well.
Yeah. So first, I want to start off with when did you get interested in playing baseball, and what made you pick the game of baseball?
Definitely got interested at a very young age. My dad was he was a really good player in his high school days, so he knew a lot about the game. He was very smart about how he played and all that jazz. So he really got me into it. And he was in the military, so anytime he was back home, that's kind of how we bonded really firmly through that. So
thank you to your father for his service.
I'll let him know.
Yeah. So for you, who were some of the baseball players that you looked up to while you were growing up?
I was a big fan of Greg Maddux just because he could pretty much do whatever he wanted with the baseball. King Griffey Jr., obviously he was a freaking another really awesome player that I love to watch because he was a small guy, but he just dominated.
Yeah. So for you, in high school, did you get to play any other positions before pitcher? And tell our fans about your process getting into pitching, or did you were able to play other positions?
Yeah, so I played third base and outfield as well. A little bit of shortstop in second, but I had a pretty solid arm, so the coaches typically put me on short or third or the outfield just to kind of have that as a tool out there. When I actually went to college, the coach basically was like, "Hey, we know you can play third and short, but we think you should pick one just so it's easier on your arm and easier on your career, kind of." And I decided because I threw hard that pitching was the best option, honestly, just because, obviously if you throw hard, you have a very good shot of being seen. So
I got to ask you this: whenever we have baseball players on, I like to ask this question. Do you ever think to yourself maybe you could have been a Shohei Ohtani player, play both sides of the ball?
I would love to say yes. I don't know if I would be that caliber, but obviously, like he's just an anomaly when it comes to baseball.
Yeah. So for you, what were the main things that you learned in high school? Because I think now it's really important for baseball or any other players in other sports to be versatile. Coaches and teams love versatile players. So for you, when you were playing infield or outfield, second base, and before going to pitching, what were the main things that you learned?
Mostly, honestly, so transitioning from third and outfield to as a pitcher, I would say is just like maintaining your athleticism. And then mentality is kind of a huge thing. I feel like in high school sports, mentality really isn't too big just because you play every day. And once you get into professional baseball, you realize why people call it a mental sport because you play every single day for so long. So I would say as a high school athlete getting into college or professional baseball, I would say just like maintain your athleticism regardless of the position and, keep that flow state.
All right, so we already have a fan question. One of our fans want to know how many hitters have you fooled so far in your career?
Oh, I would love to say a lot of hitters that I've fooled. I remember one pitch vividly that was like a 93-mile-an-hour fastball that I absolutely froze a guy on. And I actually I kind of throw a cut fastball. So I threw it and he just buckled hard and it was right down the middle. So that felt nice. But curveball, I got a lot of frozen guys just because it's a big one. So I would say a lot of guys I've kind of buckled.
Yeah. So tell our fans before we get to your pitching. What did you bring? What did you bring to the game as a hitter?
As a hitter, I in high school as a hitter, I hit 5'16", so I could hit the ball pretty well. I actually got drafted by the Yankees out of high school as a third base outfielder first and then a pitcher. So when I didn't sign and went to college, that's when I turned into the pitcher. But as a hitter, I had speed. I saw the ball really well. I could, hit the ball pretty much where I wanted to. And, I feel like if I would have kept hitting, I probably would have gotten a little better. Obviously I got bigger, so that definitely would have helped. But as a hitter, I think the biggest things are just like literally maintaining your eyes on the balls and like focusing on that stuff.
Man, you could have kept hitting, man, and at the same time be a pitcher. That would have been we could have gotten another Shohei Ohtani.
I would have loved that.
But yeah, so when it comes to pitching, what is your arsenal? Well, I don't obviously you don't want to give it away to other teams, but to fans, what do you bring to the game as a pitcher? What's your like what's your game plan going into the game?
Yeah, at this point, I think other teams have very good analytical reports
Yeah.
just based on. I throw a four-seam fastball that's more cuttery or slidery. I throw a two-seam, and I throw a slider, curveball, and a changeup. So the curveball is my big strikeout pitch when it comes to lefties. The slider, obviously, to righties. So I typically like to pound inside regardless of who's up to bat, whether it's a lefty or a righty. So my biggest thing is just attack, attack, attack. The more you're in charge of the count and all that, the much easier it is to play.
Yeah, so in high school, the cool thing about baseball, players can enter the draft after high school. So for you, did you get to enter the draft after high school, or was it college first before the draft?
Yeah, so I was drafted out of high school by the Yankees in the 35th round, and I didn't sign. I went to college for the year, and I got drafted Rangers after that.
Yeah, so for you, what goes to your mind when coming out of high school? Obviously entering the draft, and what was that like getting drafted the first time with the Yankees? And did you ever think maybe you could have signed with the Yankees, or take us to that process?
Yeah, so being drafted is like obviously your first goal and your dream come true. You think all of these things, you just made it, and you're finally kind of where you want to be. You get to start your career, all that jazz. It definitely fires you up and gets your mind super pumped up, and you're ready to go. I do think I chose the correct path for myself going to college instead of signing out of high school, just because it benefited me tremendously going to college, just growing up and making my pitches better, getting a lot stronger, getting bigger, and all that stuff. I think raised my stock and my value as a person. So I think I chose the correct path, but obviously some players definitely have that opportunity out of high school, and I don't see why not take it. I just think, college kind of helps you grow up a little bit and learn to pitch or hit.
Yeah, so tell our fans about your college experience. What was that like? And would you say that college made you become a better pitcher right now?
Yeah, absolutely. So I went to Indian Hills, which is a very small JUCO in Iowa, but I loved it there. It was just a baseball school. It was literally just baseball. So I loved it just because it was every day baseball, go to class and all that stuff. But baseball was the biggest thing. And I did learn a tremendous amount just based off of the players around me. The coaching staff was solid there. Honestly, the main thing, because in college they push you really hard to work out, and you have the two-a-days and all that stuff. So for me, college benefited me tremendously, learning how to pitch, throwing a lot harder, fixing my mechanics kind of overall, and doing that stuff. The college route definitely helps.
So we have another fan question. They want to know what before a game, what do you do to get ready? Like for example, like do you eat a snack, or they one of our fans want to know, what do you do before a game?
So I have about an hour routine before every game. As I got older, I had to that routine just continues to get a little longer, it seems like. So my warm-ups definitely take a while nowadays. I'm not too superstitious. When I was about 20 to 23, I would only wear one shirt every game that I pitched in. So I would have to wear this one shirt that I pitched in. It would just kind of like sync me up for the rest of the day. And if I pitched bad, I'd switch the shirt, and then it would just kind of keep going in that. But lately I've been like, you know what? There's no such thing as superstitions. You gotta just get that confidence in there regardless of the shirt you're wearing and all that stuff. And sometimes I'll catch myself like, actually, this is a perfect example. The other day I got a new pair of cleats, but I already pitched in a pair of cleats that I had. And so I was like, oh. And then I was like, you know what? I got to do it. But warm up wise and routine wise, I pretty much I roll out for about 20 minutes, get my body right, and just make sure I'm loose enough to warm up. So then I start doing my arm care stuff and just make sure I'm warm before I start throwing, basically. And then I start playing catch and, get on the bullpen mound and head out there.
Yeah. So speaking of catching, how important is it for a pitcher and a catcher to get the chemistry down going fast? Because obviously going into a game, there's no excuses there. But how important is it for a catcher to get in sync with the pitcher quickly?
That is huge. I have played catch with a lot of catchers, obviously, and pitched to a lot of them. And the more connected you are with that catcher, the better you pitch. And I will stand by that till the day I die. I mean, that's something that's extremely beneficial as a pitcher. You walk in confident that the guy knows you. You walk in confident that he knows your pitches. He knows the counts that you're thinking, and you really you do get on, a vibe and a level with that catcher that nobody else can kind of compare it to. So if you can get on a chemistry level with that catcher and you can just, talk to him and communicate without even saying words, you have a great guy behind the plate.
Yeah, I want to piggy off of that because now you see in the major leagues, you see pitchers. If there'll be some games where you don't get on the same page with the catcher sometimes. So there'll be like pitchers seeing stuff in their hat. Do you do that sometimes? Do you have some stuff in in the hat where you can look at the?
Yeah, so typically that's with the runner on second. So
Yeah.
as a runner gets on second, we have hat cards, and that basically gives us 1 through 5 or however many the team has at the time. I think they can go up to 8 or 10 or however many. But basically, like, the catcher will give you a number, you check your hat card, and it'll be like 15th sign after 12 or something crazy, and you just have to do a bunch of math, and it'll all depend on what the card says that day. They switch every day, so.
Yeah, so we have another fan question. They want to know, what was it like in high school playing underneath the lights and then in the night games?
That was a lot of fun. Honestly, the night games are obviously a lot of fun just because the lights are something extremely special that not a lot of teams have. So especially in high school. So it is really fun playing under the lights, and the fans love that stuff. It's something that I think baseball is so related to that it just kind of puts the vibe of baseball in the air.
Yeah. So obviously you went to Indian Hills, a small college, and what would you say? What was that like? The atmosphere like playing in front of those fans? Obviously JUCO college, and what would you say are some of your best moments there as a pitcher?
It was really awesome. So because the town and the city was so small, everybody knew who you were. Everybody knew kind of what was going on. They knew what game day was. They knew who was pitching that day. So my biggest memory and the best thing that that happened to me there, I threw a no-hitter to kind of get us into the playoffs and all that. So that was an extremely awesome feeling of, throwing a no-hitter and everybody knowing about it. You get that big town feeling of just like,
Yeah. Yeah. So take us to that situation. What was that feeling like for you?
that was incredible. So one of my best friends actually in college, his name was Jono Rodriguez. He was a clown. He always mess around. He would always joke, and he was so loud.
Wow.
And I think I had 2 outs to go in that ninth inning, and I threw a pitch, and this guy hits a bomb, but it goes foul. So he hits a bomb and it goes foul. And I hear Jono in the dugout as it's in the air. He's like, uh-oh, better hope it goes foul. And he's like yelling this in the dugout. And I'm like, dang, dude.
Wow.
But yeah, that's what's crazy is that's what I remember most in the game because I thought it was hilarious. And then I got him out, and I got out of the game. But that was funny.
Yeah. So as a pitcher, obviously it's always tough to throw a perfect game or no hitter. But for you, when you start realizing, what inning do you start realizing, oh, this could be a possibility?
To be honest with you, I think even when you're in a flow state, I think you start to realize it at some point. I would say if you're an incredible, like in that flow state and that focus, and you're not paying attention to really anything, you could probably get to the 6th, 7th inning. And then at some point you definitely understand it, but it's not really knowing about it. It's mostly like when you get on the mound, you have to understand regardless of what you're doing, you just have to focus on what the pitch is, and you just focus on the next pitch, not necessarily the end of the game or the next inning. You just, that pitch right there, you forget about what you're doing and you get out there.
Yeah. So after that game, once you got the last out, what did you do after that? After the game to celebrate?
I actually called my grandpa and called my dad.
Oh, nice.
And my mom. So they were all super excited about it. My brother, I remember, was just cheering hard. He was going crazy. And my grandpa, he was always so hard on me, and he was like, "Well, good job."
Yeah. So take us to the draft. You get drafted for a second time in 2014 by the Texas Rangers, round 7, pick 216. And what was that like? Obviously, sometimes it could be a long waiting game, but once you got your name called by Texas, what was that feeling like?
Before the draft, you always hear a lot of like, "Hey, you might go this round, you might go that round," and learning from that, obviously, like when I heard it, I was young, so I said, this is the round I'll probably go in, and you never know. They could be accurate, it could be off, but I was pretty much just hoping top 10 rounds and hoping for the best at that point. But when it got called, it was definitely, I started freaking out. I called everybody. I was with my parents at the time and my family at the time, so we had a party that day. I think it was like a going away thing, and we got really excited. We started doing stuff. I was negotiating with LSU at the time, so I was also very excited about that, and I think that helped a little bit with so that was an amazing time.
Yeah, so it must have been a lot going through your head. And what do you tell our fans? What was that process like, going through talking to LSU while at the same time getting drafted by the Rangers? And how tough was that?
That was extremely tough. I have a lot of family in Louisiana, and that was a dream college of mine. So pretty much any other team, I think I probably would have just been like, well, the choice is obvious about getting drafted and signing with the Rangers. And over time, it started to kind of show me that the choice was a little obvious. My parents were kind of in the middle of everything. They were supportive with either decision that I made, which kind of ultimately left it on my shoulders. But either way, I think regardless of the decision I would have made, I think I would have had an amazing shot and just had an amazing. The Rangers treated me well, so.
Yeah. So speaking of the Rangers, tell our fans what was experience with Texas, a great organization, and they know how to develop their players. So for you, what did you learn there in Texas?
Yeah, so I played there for 2.5 years, and the obviously, like you do pick and you connect with coaches, certain coaches. Some coaches connect with you very well. Some coaches, you have to kind of learn how they're communicating towards you and all that stuff. So, and the Rangers, I had a couple coaches that I would really connect with. One of them was Joey Seaver. He actually passed away a couple years ago, but he truly helped me develop and create an amazing man as well. He was somebody that I looked up to, and I really learned a tremendous amount from him. And I have to say, I think he was one of the big reasons as to why I was traded, because he was so confident for me. It just, it helped me so much, and he just taught me an incredible amount. But they did an incredible job with a lot of their development.
Yeah, you spend a couple. You had a different experience with different teams, and you went to Arizona too. So, what was it like? Tell us this experience with the Diamondbacks for a little bit, and also how funny is it that the Yankees, the first team that drafted you was the Yankees. You ended up going back there pitching in the minor leagues for the Yankees. But first, what was the Diamondbacks experience for you?
So the Diamondbacks were amazing. Obviously, I was on the big league for that whenever I was over there. So, just all of that experience was incredible. The food's amazing. Everything on the big league side is a little bit different. So definitely was hoping to make my debut with them. They were an amazing organization. They treated me with incredible respect, and they kind of helped me see a lot of things and just work through a lot. So the experience I had over there, like I went to the Mexico series, which was amazing. We played the Rockies over there. That was an experience. That was incredible. And then I got to face, big name hitters, which is always fun, seeing what your stuff does to them.
Yeah. So we have another fan question. They want to know who was the toughest hitter you had to face so far in your career?
Oh, so I pitched to Mike Trout. I've pitched to Manny Machado, Eric Hosmer, and Nolan Arenado. A lot of the big name guys I pitched to them. Mike Trout actually grounded out into a double play, so that was really with the bases loaded. So that was really cool. The count, so I guess he would be the toughest out. But Arenado, actually, I will say Arenado. I had him 0-2, and I threw a really good curveball, and he stayed with it the whole time, and he popped out. But I was very surprised that he stuck with the curveball the whole time, because I was like, he's never seen my curveball before, so I was like, okay, probably a strikeout here, and then he just stayed with it and popped out, and I was like, dang, he took a strikeout from me. But they definitely, if you fall behind the count, they'll definitely let you know.
Wow. Yeah. So how funny is it now? You make your way back to the Yankees organization, the team that drafted you first, and obviously the Yankees love pitchers. I mean, obviously they love to get a hand on like young pitchers. I love and the front office, they know what to do with the talent. But for you, what was it like having the Yankees being interested in you again and eventually bringing you back?
That's an incredible feeling. I think being traded in general is an awesome feeling, just because like that team sees a lot in you, and that team obviously wants to get a hold of you, and being drafted by them a year prior, definitely, or before getting drafted, it felt really good. They kept an eye on me, it seemed like, and they definitely took care of me when I went over there. The trade felt amazing, just because you feel that sense of, okay, I actually mean something, and you feel a little chip on your shoulder, and you get that confidence boost just because they see something in you.
Yeah, so we're big Yankee fans here also, and we know a lot
Yeah.
about the minor league system, and they have a great coaching staff on each level. And for you, what was it like to learn from? Because you went through all the levels pretty much. You went to Trent Thunder, River Dogs, Wilkes-Barre, Tampa Tarpons, which they made history with the first female manager. So we'll get to that. But what did you learn from each level with that?
Yeah, I learned a lot. I mean, especially going as you pitch, you typically, starters will go from level to level, and sometimes they'll jump up. But so going from level to level, I think, is very beneficial, because you get to see the difference in how hitters hit, how hitters think, how pitchers pitch, and how your stuff plays. So Justin Pope was one of the first coaches that I had, and he was in Travis Phelps, and they were really great. I mean, I got lucky. I had some great coaching when I was young, so I learned a tremendous amount from those two, just on base, how to pitch, consistency, and like mindset, consistency in your mechanics, how important that stuff is. And getting to the Double-A, we had an amazing pitching coach there, Tim Norton, and he just knew exactly what he was doing. And when you have a pitching coach that knows what he's doing, it definitely makes so much easier. It's like the catcher kind of, if you ever have that little, that little click that's not feeling right, something that's hitchy in your mechanics, and that guy, the pitching coach is going to say, hey, you're not doing this. That's not you.
Yeah. So for you, obviously, before you went to the Reds, how close were you getting that call to the majors with the Yankees?
I felt really close. There's obviously, like, the Yankees have a tremendous amount of talent, and they have a lot of money, so they can do what they please. I felt like really close last year, because I ended the year so well, and I felt incredible toward the end of the season. My pitch count was really good. I believe that there's a lot that goes into that, like timing, luck. There's so many things that could happen. So over the course of the year, I definitely felt a lot closer and closer as the year went on. I'm hoping I'm extremely close now. So hopefully the Reds will give me my opportunity, and I'll show them what I got.
Yeah. So speaking of pitching, are they ramping you as a star when you were with the Yankees? Do they consider you as a starter, reliever, both?
So yeah, so this past season, my entire career, I've pretty much been a
Yeah.
starter, other than Diamondbacks, and then this past year I relieved a little bit toward the end. And the beginning, I started, and I had some mechanical issues that I just could not figure out myself. So had the pitching coaches help me out, and they actually figured out something big that was huge for me. So once I figured that out, I turned into a reliever, and I dominated. I did really well, so very happy with that.
Yeah. So correct me if I'm wrong. Did you get to did you have time to pitch with Luis Hill, the Yankees prospect?
Yes, I did.
Uh,
Yeah,
so when you what do you think of him? Because he got some major league time last year, and he's a great young pitcher that we have in the main
absolutely.
team. So what did you seeing him close up? What did you see from him? When did you guys realize he can be a star?
When he turned it on, he had his moments where it was just like, dang, Luis, like you're nasty. Like you really he just get out there and like
Wow.
he would turn it on and he would just go hard and he would go out whatever he'd do, he would just do it. And you could tell when he was out there, he would feel dominant and he would just, I think as he grows as well, I think he's going to become an incredible pitcher just as he continues to learn and figure out like, okay, this is when I can kind of take my foot off the gas and this is when I can kind of push. So
Wow.
really good.
Yeah, so now going to your former team, the Tampa Tarpons, they made history with Rachel Bolkovich, the first female manager now. Actually, we had the honor of we had her on the show 2 years ago, and it's just such an honor talking to her. She's such an amazing woman. So, what was your reaction when you heard that?
I thought that was incredible. I've talked to her a couple times. She's obviously she was a hitting coach prior to that. So we didn't communicate too often, but as she got into the organization, I talked to her a little bit and she did seem like an incredible person. I'm super excited to see kind of what she provides to the knowledgeable about the game. So there's no question about any of that. I think it's just really exciting to see what team she gets this year and what happens. I'm just excited I hope she does well because there's an incredible team that I think she's going to do an amazing job with.
Oh yeah, she's going to do it. Obviously she has experience throughout her career with the other major league teams, and she's a right fit for Tampa Tarpons. And for you, take us to your the COVID situation, and it's always tough for athletes now, especially when the first time when COVID started. For you, what did you learn as a pitcher and as an athlete? What did you learn? What did you learn from that? Not knowing what's going to be, what's going to happen.
Stay prepared no matter what, because anything can happen at any time. And you get the call and you leave the next day. You don't really get that, give me a couple days to prepare. It's literally like, hey, we need you now. It's not really a waiting game. It's more or less a be prepared game. And if you get the call, you have to be ready to go no matter where or when they tell you. You just got to be ready to go. So I think that's the biggest thing with the COVID stuff is just be prepared and make sure you're taking care of yourself.
Yeah, so we have another fan question. They want to know, have you gotten any advice from former major league pitchers or current major league pitchers?
So Adam Warren, he was my catch partner last year, and the dude is amazing. He's an amazing man. I love that guy. I love him to death, and he took great care of me. And we played catch every day, and every time, he would just drop some sort of wisdom on me, And I think the biggest thing I learned from him was as a reliever, as a starter, he said, no matter what, you got to go in there knowing you're better than the hitter. No matter what, you got to know. And that's very generic advice, but when you hear it and you see it, because he's so consistent, he's one of those players that just walks out and he's very consistent. And it's not because his stuff, it's because of his mindset, And as I watched him, his words to his performance, and it was almost just like, that's what I gotta do, And it's fun to see that stuff. So I would say Adam Warren definitely gave me probably the best advice from players, and I've gotten a lot of advice.
Wow. Hey, like I said, we're big Yankee fans. We love Adam Warren here. This is like his third, fourth stint with the Yankees, and he's been through a lot with a lot of injuries. But this guy, he pitches hard. He works hard. I got to see him pitch in person against the Red Sox a couple years back, and he did pretty good. And speak on more about Adam Warren, because obviously horrific injury a couple years. I think it was last year. No, 2 years ago. Last year he was still rehabbing when you were there, right?
So at the beginning of the year, yes, he was rehabbing. So he got hurt in San Diego, and his contract ended. And then the Yankees were like, "Hey, we love you. We'll pick you back up. We'll take care of you. You take your time. You let us know what you need, all that stuff." And that was during the COVID and all that jazz. So he had to just kind of figure out his way into the facilities and stuff like that. But I mean, and that's another thing, seeing him go from, because he's an older guy, he's an older player, he's been around the block, so he knows exactly what teams are looking for, he knows what they want, he knows what he has to provide. So he took off. I mean, he took so much pressure off of himself just by being who he is, which is like he knows what he provides. And what's crazy is, talking to him during the game, he would say he would, go 2 scoreless and then be done pitching, but he would come out and he'd say, "Dang, I relied too much on my off speed there." I was like, "Well, you did this, this, and this," and he'd say, "Well, if I rely on my fastball a little bit more, I think I get out of those out." Pitching a little bit easier. I start striking more guys out because I just need to rely on that fastball a little more. And it's like, wow, he's absolutely right. Because the more you rely on the pitches that they're expecting and you're confident in those pitches, then they have no chance. So it was just really amazing watching him depressurize himself to put himself back into the game. And he still did an amazing job.
Especially for you, Nick, to have that type of pitcher beside you along and helping you along the way throughout your career. How important is that for you, especially moving on to your next opportunity? But having that one pitcher that believes in you and as a teammate and helps you along the way, giving you, like you said, wisdom. What does that mean to you as a pitcher?
I will say this. I think you can ask any pitcher in the game and they'll tell you, or any hitter, honestly, I think they'll tell you that you'll learn more from any teammate you play with than a lot of the coaches. The coaches are incredible. Don't get me wrong. They all are extremely wise and they know their stuff for sure. But the fact of the matter is you are playing with these players every single day and they're basically your family. So, as if you get a player like Adam Warren or you get a player like all the Archie Bradley or players like that, and like you get to just get in and suck in all of the information that you can because you're with them every day. You get to see, what these consistent players do, what these tenured big leaguers get to do and why they were doing it. So I would say that's the most important part is like, don't ever take a moment for granted because you might hear something that in that moment that you could change your life.
Oh, yeah. So before we get to your free agent process, what's it like having facial hair back again?
To be honest, so the only reason I have facial hair is because I have to shave like every other day. So I just got to the point where I was like, you know what, I'll probably shave eventually, but it's just nice not having to worry about it. I enjoy having the beard. Couldn't shave it, so I said, you know what, I guess I'll keep it for a little bit longer. But the Yankee, I think it's extremely professional to have that.
Yep.
So I don't have any issues with it, but it is nice not having to worry about the facial hair.
It's just funny how every former Yankee gets that question though a lot.
Oh yeah, as soon as we got to the Reds, one of the trainers were like, "You were definitely a Yankee because you already have the beard grown out."
Yeah. So speaking of your free agent process, before you chose the Reds, how many other teams were interested in you, and what made you suit out with the Reds?
I'm not sure how many. I know my agent was in touch with a couple of teams, so I'm not positive on the names and stuff. I kind of let him handle all that stuff just to take a lot of the pressure and stress off of me without kind of pushing myself too hard in that sense. This happened last week when I signed with the Reds. I signed with him just last week, and I think the whole lockout process is pushing a lot of these signs back. So a lot of free agents are up in the air at this point. A lot of teams are struggling to fill in spots because they don't know what's going to happen. So I think in general, I'm blessed to be able to play another year, and obviously got to show the Reds my worth and make sure they understand that I'm here to play. So as I keep playing, I'm just going to take this opportunity and push as hard as I can with it.
I see. This is obviously baseball is going through a tough time right now with this lockout, but would you say this is an advantage to minor league players to show the teams what they got now early, and because like you just said, teams are struggling with the roster stuff. So maybe if the teams will have enough money, they can bring up the minor leaguers. So would you say this is an advantage for minor leaguers with this thing happening?
I would say that it could be, but also some minor league players I think that are knocking on the door are kind of hoping that it ends just to possibly get their foot back in that door. And like myself, I feel like I would love for it to end just so we could all play and, I can compete with the best of them, So I think I do see a lot of minor leaguers. I think this is an opportunity to you're in front of everybody now, as opposed to you're not on the side as much. So I think regardless of the time or the lockout, I think every minor leaguer should just take the opportunity to keep pushing forward and show what they have. So just take this opportunity and show teams what you got.
Yeah, so we have another fan question. They want to know what's your hype music.
Oh, I actually have a playlist, a hype playlist, and a lot of rock and roll, and some rap. I got a lot of rap in there. I would listen to Random by G-Eazy before every game. I would listen to what else? One for the Money. That was a metal song. I forget who that's by. But I would get a lot of heavy rock and just kind of get me going, get me vibing, go, get my energy up. Help the pre-workout kick in.
Yeah, so our friend Danny Cerino pitched for the Reds. So what are you most looking forward to with the Reds, and what have you been working on this off season and getting ready for the season, spring training, and are you planning on to add another pitch or something? You got, or you just keep it in the you don't tell anyone.
I don't know if I'm going to be adding another pitch anytime soon. I already got 5 pitches, so that's going to be I think that'll be enough for now. My biggest thing I worked on this offseason, honestly, was rhythm, just maintaining my rhythm. And the more rhythmic I am, the more consistent I am. So as I pitch, I can get into a flow state, just focusing on my rhythm, focusing on that first step and kind of getting that sway. So I'm mostly looking for the opportunity and just to play. Just am excited that I get to play another year, and I'm excited that the Reds have given me opportunity. So I think the biggest thing I'm looking forward to is just playing, making sure that I put my best foot forward. And I've learned so much throughout my career. I think I'll be able to do big things this year. So
Yeah, so speaking of the Reds have a lot of history, and there's this one player named Joey Votto. I don't know if you know him, Joey Votto, but what's it gonna? I mean, obviously, what's it gonna? A great, a great hitter, great first baseman in the major leagues. But for you, what's it like for you to wear the same uniform as him? And then once you get the call up, man, what's that gonna be like for you?
Dude, I'm pumped. I mean, it is really, really cool. I actually got told if Joey Votto has a beard, we look very similar. They said I look a lot like him, and I said, well, sweet. I mean, so once I get the call up, I'm going to be very excited. I'm going to make sure I stay calm, keep my composure, and go out there and pitch to the best of my ability, and make sure that when I get out there, I'm not overstressed and not nervous, just making sure that I maintain and keep doing what I'm doing, because if I get called up, it's happening for a reason. So got to trust the process and make sure I trust in myself.
Yeah. So training, tell our fans about your training routine now for spring training. What have you been working on just to stay ready and stay stretched out?
So in the off season, I work out really heavy, make sure that I get my density up, I guess you could say, my weight up, because once you get into the season, you kind of have to pick and choose your workouts a little bit better and make sure you're maintaining a little more. So during spring training, we do, right now with the Reds, it's twice a week workouts, and then cardio and kind of whatever helps you as a player. The younger players have much stricter routines and stuff that they kind of have to abide by. Whereas I think the guys that have been around have a little bit more leniency on that stuff. So workout twice a week as of right now, total bodies that are pretty fun. I actually enjoy working out pretty hard. So they're fun workouts. I'm probably in there about an hour and a half. And then cardio is every other day as of right now. And then I have to do recovery stuff every day. I'm getting a little old now. So I got to be in the cold tub every day. It's been freezing. This cold tub's colder than anyone I've been in, but I think it's because it's just getting started. But yeah, I got to do all my recovery stuff because I'm getting old.
Yeah. So if the major league season started now, would you say that you're ready now to pitch the full like 7 inning? Are you built up to now like where you can pitch like most of the game, like 7 innings?
As of right now, no. We are doing live BPs, and our first inter squad game was today. So currently we're doing 1 innings, and then I think sometime next week or sometime soon we'll be doing 2 and then 3 and then 4, and kind of just building up to those. Once you get past 5 innings or 4 innings, you can kind of just go from there. But once you build your arm up, it's kind of go time. So right now it's the build up phase where we're doing the 1 to 2 innings and how long you've been doing it.
Yeah, so we have 2 fan questions that just came in. One of them wants to know what's your one quote that you live by, and then the other one wants to know your nickname. What's your nickname?
A quote that I live by is don't pray for an easy life, pray for the strength to endure a hard one, and that's by Bruce Lee. There's really nothing, especially if it's worth going to get. So I learned at a young age that if I want something, regardless, it's going to be hard. So I might as well just put everything I have into it and kind of go hard. So I don't pray for the easy life. I pray for the strength to endure the hard one. And I think that's something I'll probably always live by, just because that resides in me. And a nickname, pretty much everybody calls me Greeny or Nick, or I've been called Ashton Kutcher. Today, Joey Votto, and they'll kind of like make nicknames off of that stuff, but nothing too crazy. There hasn't been too much, honestly.
That's funny. Ashton Kutcher.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, so have you been watching the college baseball season so far? No. Oh, can you sorry, it froze, I think. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, so have you been watching the college baseball season recently?
I've been at the field for so long, pretty much every day, that I haven't had too much time to watch it, but I definitely love watching college baseball whenever I can catch it. And the basketball. I've been watching some of the basketball games as well, but I haven't been able to keep up with too much of it, unfortunately.
Yeah, so whoever tell the Reds fans, obviously you've been with a lot of your teammates already, the prospects. Well, which prospects should Reds fans be excited about that you've been with?
Connor McDonald, I know he's going to be doing really well. They signed a lot of guys this year. Trey Ambergy I actually played with on the
Yankees.
yeah, and I would say keep an eye out on him. He's pretty freaking nasty. A live BP or in a game or something, I would just make him put the ball in play and not let him hit the ball solid, because he sees the ball really well. So I would say Trey Ambergy. Pitching wise, I haven't been around too many of the guys other than those two. Fernando Cruz, he just came over from Mexico. He's really good. Ben Lively as well. He's got a freaking lively fastball, that's for sure. But definitely a lot of guys this year to look at, because they signed a lot, and I know their org had a lot of talent in it before. So,
well, we heard a lot about a Trey in Yankee spring training, and I don't know why the Yankees gave up on him. But you guys, I'm telling you right now, I agree with you. The Reds got a great player in him. I'm telling you, this guy plays hard.
He does. He absolutely does. And I know the Yankees tried hard to get him, but I think the Reds just won the gamble. So I think Trey is he's excited. I know he's excited. I talk to him every day. He's like, the opportunity here, I think, is going to be amazing for him. So
yeah,
I'm excited for him.
Yeah, so the last few things here, our team is part of this foundation. It's called the Hugh Jackson Foundation. We're trying to help him prevent human trafficking, making sure the community stays safe, the kids stay safe. So we'll send you the foundation so you can go check it out.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah. And the last thing here, would you like to say anything to all the nurses, doctors, and all the essential workers right now?
Yeah, thank you guys very much for everything that you're doing. I appreciate all your hard work and pushing through all these hard times. I know you guys are going through the ringer right now. So thank you so much for all that you've done for us.
Yeah, well said. And before we close this out, I just want to send my prayers to all the people in Ukraine right now. It's a tough situation right now in Ukraine. So I want to send my prayers and thoughts to them, and just devastating there. And hopefully they can resolve this pretty quick. And for you, would you like to plug anything to our fans where they can find you on social media?
Nick Green 45. That's my Instagram, the check mark. I don't get on there too often, but I will start posting. So if you guys want to want to see some posts, especially in the Reds uniform or
Let's go.
just life in general. Let's go.
Yeah, but thank you again. So this wraps up episode 989 with former Yankees pitching prospect, now current Cincinnati Reds pitching prospect, Nick Green. I just want to say thank you for joining the show. It's truly an honor. Thank you to our fans for tuning in and asking good questions to Nick. And first of all, I just want to say congrats on the new opportunity with the Reds. I hope you get your opportunity once the major league season comes back. But this is good luck this season, the minor league season, and keep up the great work. And tell you, like I said, tell your father that I say thank you for his service. And we would love to have you back on the show down the line so you can meet the full team. But thank you again.
Absolutely, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. That was awesome.